Dave here, how are you? Today I'm going to show you the latest update I've done to my multifunction table. I've put a Kreg clamp plate in it. Stay with me, so let's have a look. As you can see, right here is my Kreg clamp plate, and I love it. This is recessed into my benchtop. I wouldn't go recessing into my antique great-grandfather's bench, because somehow that just wouldn't seem right. But with this top, not a problem at all. It is designed to take the Kreg bench clamps. Now I've got a 3-inch, you can get 6-inch, and I prefer the Automax clamping system because I haven't got to adjust it at all. I pop it in, locked. How cool is that? Now I don't have to worry about adjusting the depth. It's in, locked as well. That's why it's called an Automax. There you go. Now the process of putting it in there is quite easy. I made a pattern around that particular plate, and I did that with thick enough stock to be able to take my pattern following bit in the router, and of course, because I'm going on the inside of a pattern, I was traveling around the pattern clockwise. If I'm doing the exterior of a pattern, I go anti-clockwise. There's a little tip, otherwise the router will tend to grab and it could be messy. Now for those of you who don't know how to use a pattern following bit or to make a pattern up, I've done a little bit of a video, and here I'm showing you drilling the holes, the pocket holes for my pattern. And the next thing I'm going to do is put the Kreg clamp plate on the bench and put the timbers around it that I'm making. Now you notice the way that I'm doing it, it looks like the legs of a Catherine wheel coming out, and that is because each leg is fully adjustable. I can move them in and out rather than creating two small pieces that would go on one side of the other, like opposing sides, and then another section making it look like an H. Bad move. Don't do it that way. Do it this way and it'll be dead easy. I'm using lever clamp to hold the pattern down as I'm creating it, and using Kreg's pocket hole screwing system to lock it together. Nothing better. Now the next thing to do is we're going to take the pattern over to the bench, this bench here, and we're going to clamp it down onto the bench in the right position where I want that hole to be. The first thing I'm going to do is I have to zero the router, and then I'm going to work with the turret and the actual clamp plate and set the depth stop on the router. This is an area where some of you may not know how to do it. Now I'm sure I've got a router here somewhere. There it is. Now I did all of this with my old Makita I've had for about 30 years, but it has no dust extraction. My suggestion is, if you've got one of these old routers, do this outside, or if you feel inspired, go and buy a new router. There you go. So, how we set the depth. This is part of the pattern that I made. Now what I'm going to do here, so I'm just trying to line it up with the camera on the other side. I'm going to sit the router's base plate, the base plate from the router, I'm going to sit on top of the pattern. I'm going to plunge the router until that cutter, now you'll notice that I'm not plugged in, until the tip of that cutter touches the bench top, the surface that I'm going to plunge down through. Now at the moment it's sitting up a little higher, so I'm going to release the clamp. I'm going to plunge down, you hear it hitting the top. Now I'm going to lock it. There we go. I've locked it, and the cutter is actually touching, the end of the cutter is touching the bench top. That's called zeroing the router down, or zeroing the cutter. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swing the turret around. Now a lot of routers have got turrets. That's the turret right there. It's adjustable, you can turn them around, so I've got a small one and a tall one. And this is the depth stop. Now all different routers are going to have different styles of depth stop. Learn how to use it and life will be easy. Okay, so you can adjust the depth. Now I'm going to show you a picture of the actual clamp plate here, put in between the top of the turret and the depth stop, And what I've done is I've wound this depth stop down until it actually holds onto that clamp plate. That's the exact thickness that I want to plunge to. Once I'm there, then it's just a matter of plunging the router, and as I do plunge, I release that clamp, I release the clamp, and then I'll plunge down about 4 mil, because that's how I like to do. 4 mil about is the max, and then I'll plunge again, and it will eventually stop when it hits the turret. And that will tell me that I've got the maximum depth that I'm going to, or the exact depth that I need to go to, and the plate will finish up flush like that in the bench. How cool is that? There's a quick lesson on zeroing a router, and away we go. Now, next thing, the corners of the hole that we've cut in the bench top to receive the clamp plate are not going to be rounded in the corner, because the cutter has a radius, and that one's a radius of around about 3/8 of an inch, 10 millimeters to all the rest of the world. So just grab a chisel and a mallet and knock out the corners, clean the bottoms up. When you're doing it, be careful that you don't go too savagely, because you might chip the laminate, and if you have a look there, you'll notice I did, so that's a little heads up for you. But anyway, clean out the corners, pop the plate in, not all the way, because you don't want to pop it out too many times. Get a marking pen or a pencil, mark where the hole is. This looks like a bit of a keyhole design here, because you have to make clearance for this guy. That is the metal thread that screws into the base of the clamp plate, and that's what holds it in there. So you have to be able to do that. You have to check that you've got the depth for it. And that's it. Once you've done that, clean all the hole out, screw it in. It also comes with metal threads and nuts, so you can drill a hole all the way through if you want to for the hole down points. These are all countersunk, so they're not going to be in the way. And as I say, screw or bolt it on, whatever you need, and then you're ready to go. It works so good. So there's the clamp. There it is, holding something. Now, I went a couple of steps further. You may remember in a previous episode that I had made this acrylic stop or fence, slide it up to there, and that was the fence for my trim router, which also lives in this bench top. Rebate, round over, whatever you want to do. I have also worked out so that if I turn it around that way and slid it up, I can pop that one in there, and I made another one. Now this guy is designed to go in at the back, and a lot of you can probably see where I'm going with this already. It has this harbour bridge shape here to allow for the clamp to go in there and for me to be able to pull this back, and as it travels that radius I can go from very small timber out to around about 4 inches wide, 100 mil wide. If I had the larger bench clamp, I could put larger pieces in there, probably have a little bit more control. So I may invest in the 6-inch bench clamp as well. Now, I've also got another little tip for you, and that is to set this up as a perfectly square joint. You just pop the guy in there, my square, this is my roofing square, pop him in there, I'll clamp it down, I'll put the glasses on for this part, and now I can just slide this up against, because you probably realise that as you tighten T-bolts up, you may get that just a little bit of a movement. If the clamp is held in position, if the square is held in position, there's no movement. And then the last part is to push that guy up, tighten him, and this side, tighten, take the square out, and now every time I want to create a joint in there, it's perfectly square. I love it. What a great system. There you go. That's it. I can now, well, I've already screwed it together. That's cheating slightly. But if I was to screw this together, there's no way it's going. I've got the clamp, and also I've got positive stops on both sides of the corner. So it's not going to go out. It's not going to move. And look, even if I wanted to put central rails in a door, that's so easy as well. All I do is take out the clamp, move this guy out, pop that out of the way of course, and then slide this one down, take that all the way up, put this one back in, and then I can just put the timber in. If I've made the total perimeter of the door and I'm just putting it in the center, I don't have to worry about it moving backwards and forwards because both styles of the door are going to hold it in position. All I do is clamp the joint. How cool is this? Okay, there you go. Tip from Dave. Get yourself a clamp plate and a bench clamp and have some fun. See you next time.